We did a test and all of the fish that we put in there survived. And so instead of using different tanks, I think we're going to start out by just finishing out all of the fish in this one and see how well it works. But you've done quite well in there. This is a 100-gallon tank, one of my smaller large tanks, a smaller large tank. But we're going to see how well they do at keeping mosquitoes down and to survive. I will be putting a little feed in there for them though to start them out, get them going. The temperature's a little colder than I would like, but it's running about 60 in there, and they say you should keep it at 70 for them, but they seem to be doing pretty good, so we'll find out how well they work, okay? You're here for a story. Okay. This last weekend, again, I went up to Omaha. I hate cities. When you're driving down the road and there's 5 lanes and they're all going your direction, that's awful spooky to this country boy. Be that as it may, went up there and of course the graduation, son-in-law got his PhD, and it was an uneventful, boring graduation except that there was a woman out of the 200 that got graduated and got their diplomas. There was one woman that wouldn't shake hands with the man handing her the diploma. She refused to. She had a sheet over her from head to toe, and only her eyes were showing. But she would not touch an infidel. With that in mind, though, I thought it was a bit odd because her profession and her degree was on nursing. I'm not sure you or I would want that nurse to attend to us if she couldn't even touch us. Be that as it may. After the graduation, we went to a party, and the first thing they did was introduce Mr. Bill, me, to a law enforcement officer. I think they wanted to see if there was going to be some friction, maybe some fireworks. Well, I've been on the street and I've talked to everybody from the right wing to the left wing, pro-government, anti-government, and drug dealers and everybody else in between. And I usually keep things pretty calm. I do. And so with that in mind, we had an interesting conversation. He started out by sizing me up and then he mellowed out himself. With that discussion, he then opened up a little bit after he got a little calmer with me and felt a little more comfortable. And he was with ICE. ICE is under Homeland Security, immigration. And he was on the Mexican border for a number of years down there. Front lines in the battle, I'm here to tell you. And he was built like a brick outhouse. I said a brick outhouse. One of the tougher looking men I've ever seen in my life, if that tells you anything. He, in his discussion though, said that after he got done with that stint down there, they then decided to put him in to hiring more officers. The downside of that is, he said the administration decided to tell him and order him to dumb down the requirements so that they could hire women and lesser qualified physically men. And he said that's crazy to do that. He said you want the toughest of the tough, and because what they do is a very dangerous job. And so he refused to do it. So he went back out on the streets as an immigration officer. He said a number of times, though, he's considered even quitting. Because he said, compared to when he started, he said, we are only shipping back to Mexico and the different countries that they come from, only about 20% of what we used to send back. I asked the question, I said, is immigration coming down that much? Illegals, not very many coming in? He said, more than ever. But he said they make it so difficult and jump through so many hoops, plus the local law enforcement are told not to help ICE to catch and hold, and so that they can deport illegal aliens. So he said, you're fighting an uphill battle 2 directions. And I said, why is that so? And he said, well, the government wants the taxes that the illegals would come in and pay, plus they want their votes, and then you've got the rich man wanting cheap labor. At the same time, there's a dark side of the government that wants as much friction and cause as much trouble internally as possible so that they can consider and push closer to a police state. Now I thought that was interesting for an ICE officer to speak like that. He was not happy with it whatsoever. And I said, what's the future going to look like? And he said, it'll probably be hell on earth if things don't change. His quote, hell on earth. Yeah. I also then got to speak with another gentleman this weekend. He said he was CIA, and that's right there a red flag to me. But the gentleman in his discussion, one thing he said that stood out, one thing, and that is this. He said, without question, it has already been decided Hillary will be the next president of the United States. And I said, I hope not. And he said, nope. He said, it's a given. It's already been decided. Whether you vote or not, it matters not. They have already decided to put her in as president. Now, maybe he was blowing smoke. Maybe not. But those are some conversations that Mr. Bill had up in Omaha that I thought you might like to listen to. Keep your comments clean, and they stand on Don Z52.